Hi everybody, it's the end of the month. I'm back from my holidays and it's time to show you all the pages I coloured during August of 2024. And as August is my birthday month, I decided for my theme this month I would pick my favourite artist, which is Jasmine Becket-Griffith. So I've coloured quite a few of her illustrations this month. And this is the first one I actually coloured. This is from Alice in Wonderland colouring book by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. And this is one that I did actually colour on camera. It's this lady here, and this one I coloured with Crayola Twistables pencils after I saw a video by Colour and Collage with Ems, I think it was, and she was using her Crayola Twistables pencils and having a lot of fun, so I decided I'd dig mine out and have a bit of a go. And this is the one that I ended up colouring, and she was really fun. I decided to go for a kind of a more graphic approach with it because I can't really get the blending and the shading going on super well with Crayola Twistables, however much I try. So I decided to use them just like crayons, more like erasable crayons than like actual pencils. So I went for this picture because it was a really big and kind of simple one with big areas to colour, and I went ahead and coloured all of Alice there with the Crayola Twistables. I did bring in the white gel pen, as you can see there. For this tea set at the bottom here, I used some washi tape. It was the same set of washi tape that I'd used previously in a Lana Green colouring book. The same washi tape I used for the tea set there down the bottom, which is quite fun. And this background is actually scrapbooking paper that I put in because I thought it looked maybe like the kind of wallpaper you'd get in a sort of old-fashioned tea room, which is what this picture reminded me of. And yeah, originally I'd planned to use the method that I showed you where I replaced the whole of a colouring page background with the collage, but then I realised that Alice actually didn't touch the edges of this frame here. So what I ended up doing was cutting out the whole of the middle of the page, adding in the wallpaper background there with the scrapbooking paper, and then I cut out Alice in a sort of oval photo frame there and stuck her on back in the middle of the page, and I think that's worked really quite well. I went around the edges with a metallic Sharpie, which is something I like to do just to tidy up my edges because I'm not the most neatest colourer or painter or even gluer and sticker, to be honest with you, and I like to use the metallic Sharpie just to tidy up my edges. I brought in a little white gel pen as well to cover up any little kind of happy accidents we had going on there, and yeah, quite pleased with her overall. And she was a lot of fun to do, kind of relaxing, not so serious colouring, and yeah, she has a video on the channel if anybody's interested in watching that. So that one is from the Alice in Wonderland colouring book by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. Next, we're moving on to Colouring Heaven. This one is the Bohemian Beauties special. I'm sorry that's glaring a little bit there, but that is the Bohemian Beauties special by T.Fallon, aka DurianAddict. And this is one that I coloured for a challenge on one of my Facebook groups that I belong to, called Colour It In Challenges Facebook group, which I will link down below in the description if anybody's interested in going ahead and joining that group. It is a super fun group with lots of challenges every month to do. I can see there one of my little gemstones has fallen off, but I'll go ahead and replace that when I've finished filming. And this one was for a challenge in that group to colour psychedelic. You could either pick from colouring some psychedelic hair, which obviously I went for here. I do love to colour my portraits, and yeah, that was the one I was going to go for. And the other option was mushrooms, which again, I love colouring mushrooms, but I would rather love to colour a portrait. So I went for the psychedelic hair, and she's done with a marker base. The lady herself has a marker base. I went ahead and did that, tried to blend the markers a little bit there, but then went ahead over the top with pencil to make the blend a little bit more smoother. And that one is actually on a video on the channel as well, where I showed how I did this hair, blending all these colours together and then putting the pencil shading over the top. I think that was originally mostly Arteza pencils, that one, because I really love the bright colours you have going on with the Arteza pencils, and I really wanted to go psychedelic and kind of poppy, so yeah, I went with that. The background, I coloured in all this black here. I think I coloured that with one of my acrylic markers, just the cheap acrylic markers I got from B&M. I coloured in part of the pattern with the black because I wanted the colours to be really popping out, and I thought maybe adding some black would help with that. So I coloured all that with the acrylic marker. This background is with gel pens, which I've tried to actually do a little bit of blending with the gel pens there, so that was a little bit fun and interesting there, to get a bit of blend going on with gel pens, which was kind of difficult because you have to do it when the pens are still kind of wet and get them to blend in together while they're still damp. So that was quite an interesting experience. First time I've really tried that on a kind of a larger scale. And you'll see there that I did try and give this lady some kind of makeup going on her face there. I did a Google search for psychedelic makeup, and this is kind of adapted from a couple of the images I saw going on there. It's not something I usually do. My ladies are usually pretty natural looking. I don't usually go in for the makeup, but I wanted to challenge myself with this. So yeah, I gave her the makeup, added a few stickers here, so onto her face with the makeup, and into her hair, some little glittery stars and just some crystals there. I'm not sure I can bring this up to show quite near to the camera, but I'll give you a little bit of a closer view of it. Yeah, there's some crystals there going on in her hair. And on her skin, I used some hair and body glitter gel that I've had for a while. I got introduced to that by Colouring at V's, I think the channel is called. She uses this hair and body glitter gel quite a lot in her pictures, and I think it looks super cool, so I managed to find some, and I've actually used that on the lady's skin, if we can get that glittering on her face there. It's a really pretty one. It does have some little tiny stars in it, but I'm not sure that those will be showing up. There's one there, some kind of holographic stars, and I thought that would go again with the psychedelic kind of maybe 60s, 70s look, although I think she ended up looking more 80s, and I've had a couple of people comment that she looks like Jem from Jem and the Holograms from back in the 80s, which I think is a really good thing because I used to love that show and I do love the 80s. So even though she wasn't intended to be looking really 80s there, she did end up with it, and I think it works really well. I think it looks super cool. So yeah, that is the one that I've coloured from the Bohemian Beauties special Colouring Heaven. Again, sorry about the glare. Bohemian Beauties Colouring Heaven by T.Fallon, aka DurianAddict. Next, we're moving on to the Colouring Heaven Alice special. This is the first issue of Colouring Heaven I ever got on subscription. So yeah, it's one I've done quite a lot in, as you can see by all these little tags along the top. And the two I've actually completed in this one were both work in progress. Actually, from my work in progress video. As some of you may know, my little New Year's resolution this year at the beginning of the year was to work more on my works in progress, and these two in here were works in progress. So the first one, I will pop up a picture here of what it looked like before I'd started working on it this month. You can see there's not that much done. I'd started doing some sort of a rainbow going on in the background there, some sort of a rainbow background. I can't remember what the original idea was, but I think, if I remember back, it was something to do with having this really bright rainbow background and then having Alice be in grayscale in the middle to kind of contrast with that rainbow background. And I think I got lost because I was trying to use coloured pencils, just coloured pencils for that background, which obviously takes a lot more time. And I got a little bit lost with that and put it away. But this month I decided to go ahead and finish that one off. So I'll show you here how we went ahead with that. And there we go. I kept with the idea that I thought I originally had. I'm not entirely sure it was the plan, but it's worked, so I'm running with it, of having this rainbow background and then bringing in Alice with the grayscale. And instead of just going with the coloured pencils for this background, I did bring in the markers just for quickness, really, to make things really quick and pretty easy. Shading on top with, I think, again, the Arteza pencils, again, for the brightness of those colours. And I think that's worked really well for that kind of dreamy sort of, again, a psychedelic, maybe sort of trippy background, I think worked quite well. And when I did go ahead and colour Alice with the grayscale, I just went ahead and coloured the whole of Alice with a really, really light kind of grey-blue sort of colour, really light cool grey, and then I started shading her with the grey. I think again could have been Arteza, and she ended up looking a bit like she was a statue, so I've played with that and I gave her some more texture, maybe a few little cracks in there, and made her look like a statue, maybe reminiscent of the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who, if anybody's seen that episode. But yeah, that kind of idea I thought I could get going on with her, and I think that's worked really well. Again, I'll try and lift her up a little bit so we can see that stone texture we have going on. Hopefully we can see that stone texture, kind of scribbly texture I had going on there, with a little bit of white gel pen. Again, most of my pictures have white gel pen, so I kind of presume that goes without saying now. It's going to have a white gel pen if I coloured it. And yeah, I'm really quite pleased with how that turned out. We do have a couple of little stick-on crystals there on the fish's fins. I tried to make his fins look as if they were see-through by bringing in that green colour behind there, and the grey a little bit behind where it goes over the actual Alice statue. And yeah, really pleased with how it's turned out, I think. It was really fun to do. I neatened off the edges, again, because I'm not the neatest colourist, so I neatened off these edges just with some glittery washi tape, some blue glittery washi tape. I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. Again, I'm not entirely sure that was the idea from the start. I'm thinking it was. That's the kind of thing I would try and do. But yeah, that's the way I went ahead and finished it, and I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. And there was another one that I actually coloured in here, and this also was a work in progress, so I'll pop up a picture here of what that looked like. And you can see this was first when I first got my very first, a lot of first there, my first set of alcohol markers. I think there was only like 24 colours or something in it that I got from the works over here in the UK, really cheap alcohol markers, and the only kind of skin colour I had was a light pink, and it ended up being quite a bright light pink, and that's what I did for the king, for his skin there. And I ended up putting that to the side because I didn't like how that pink was working for skin, and I didn't really know how to work with it and actually make it work. So I put that one away to the side. But I thought, seeing as I'd coloured this picture in the front here, that I would go ahead and work on that one in the back while I actually had the magazine out. So I'll show you how I went ahead and finished that. I do have it marked, but I'm never very good at finding that. Oh, here we go. Here we are for that one. That's how I managed to get that one finished up. I think I've made that pink kind of work. It's still a little bit too pink, I think, but I went on top with a few pencils, tried to blend it out, make it look a little bit more like a sort of skin colour. And he's a playing card anyway, he's not an actual person, so I think maybe we can get away with that there. And I think I've made him work quite well. I also brought in some washi tape for these edges of the card here. There's some gold paint pen for the background here, and I think maybe on his clothes there's some gold gel pen. I think I might have brought in the yellow gel pen as well, and the black there for the king's actual outfit there, trying to keep to the colours of just black, white, red and yellow, as I thought I already had that going on. It seemed to work quite well, and that, yeah, I carried that on. I've stuck on a few, again, my little stick-on crystals for the jewels on his crown, for this little jewel on his belt there. For the Mad Hatter, I just shaded him. Most of the basing was already there with my markers originally, and I had a bit more know-how now of how to actually go ahead and work with my markers, so I've gone ahead and shaded him. And yeah, he's looking a little bit better now. Again, with the white gel pen for the highlights. And for the background, I thought, seeing as this, as the Hatter is dropping his cup of tea or coffee here, I thought maybe I'd go, I think in the book it's tea, isn't it? But I did go ahead and use coffee. That's why I mentioned coffee. I did go ahead and actually use coffee for this background. Just blobbed on a little bit of coffee there to carry on this idea of the coffee spilling, and taking that idea all the way up to the top there, just as a little bit of a background with the splashed coffee. And we've made a little bit of a mess on that side of the page, but let's not worry about that too much. It has come through on the other side, on the other picture, but we have actually got a little bit of yellowing there as well from the markers. Can we see that? There's a little bit of yellowing there from the actual markers, the really cheap markers that I used. So I've got that to deal with on the other side as well. So a little bit of coffee isn't going to make that much difference, I don't think, to how I'm going to colour that picture if I ever do. So yeah, that's the one that I finished off there, and I'm really quite pleased with how that's turned out, considering this bright skin that was putting me off doing that. And it was really quite fun to do, actually. I do love having a bit of a challenge, trying to figure out how to fix things that have gone slightly wrong. So yep, not much else to say about that one. So that is the other one that I coloured from the Alice special by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. And that was the point that I went off on holiday. So the next two are ones I actually coloured while I was on holiday off in Wales. And I took this first one with me because it was one of my small books, and it is a hardback. This is a hardback book. This is Garden Lady by Lana Green. Really gorgeous book. I took this on holiday with me. And I took a small set of Prismacolor pencils that I was gifted by a really lovely colouring friend of mine. She passed on her small set of Prismacolor pencils when she upgraded to a bigger set, and I was really pleased to be able to try those those out. And this is the first picture I have actually tried those out with, and I was really, really happy with how they were working. They do work really nicely on this paper. If anyone has Prismacolors and want to use it in this book, yeah, they do work really nicely. And the page that I coloured, I just went ahead and coloured the first page, as they're all gorgeous pictures and I couldn't pick which one to actually do. So this is the one that I did. There we go, and she is all with the Prismacolor pencils there. And as usual, I really haven't paid a lot of attention to the colours that Lana herself has actually used there. Apart from the flowers, I tried to maybe mimic the way she was colouring her flowers here, but then after I'd done a couple, I went ahead and went my own little way with it and used my own colours. I wanted the flowers to be more pink and yellow rather than bringing in the red as they are on the other side of the page there. And I wanted the girl herself to have this blue kind of sailor stripe going on with her outfit, which I think has worked really well. And then I gave her the blonde hair to again go with that pastel-y sort of soft and delicate effect that I was aiming for there. I think that's worked really well. Again, I think for a little thumbnail there, it's a little bit of acrylic marker maybe. I can't quite remember. Background again was the Prismacolor pencils. I tried to emulate the same kind of thing that she had going on here. My lines are a little bit wonky because I didn't have a ruler with me, but yeah, the same kind of effect for the background I was going for as she has on the other side. But then once I'd gotten home, I thought maybe it was missing something. That background needed something. So I added a few little star stickers there into the background, and I think that really gives it that kind of oomph that it needed. It did need something in that background. It really wasn't working too well. I did give her a white gel pen outline around the edges there, but I had to borrow a gel pen from my mum because I'd forgotten to take my broad gel pens with me, so it was a quite thin little white gel pen which wasn't giving the lady that much standing out as I would have liked, but I think I made it work. I've added a few little sparkles there as well around the outline. I gave her a couple of little stick-on pearls for her earrings, again once I'd gotten home because I didn't take those with me. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how kind of sweet and soft and delicate she's ended up looking. And really happy with her, how she's turned out. She was really fun to do, and she reminds me of being on holiday now. So yeah, I really do love that one. And there we go. That is my one from Garden Lady by Lana Green. A really fun one to do. There we are. And this next colouring book I actually bought while I was away. I found this in a second-hand shop while I was away. And it's not something I usually colour, but I thought I'd pick it up for something that could go in my bag, something to do when I just need a tiny little picture that'll take a couple hours maybe. It wasn't actually priced in this shop, but when I did take it to the till, it ended up being only 50p, so I was super happy with that. You can't disagree with a colouring book for 50p, even if it's something that you don't usually colour. And to be honest, I did have quite a bit of fun colouring this one, considering that it isn't something that I usually colour. There we go. That's the, I think it's some sort of a dwarf pine tree. This one is some sort of a dwarf pine. And I tried to go with the same sort of shading we have going on this side of the page, but the colours, yeah, because I only had small sets of pencils with me. I think this one might have been the Amazon Basics pencils I went ahead and did this one with. Again, that's only a 48 set, so a bit limited with colours, but I've tried to keep to the same sort of colours as we've got going on there. And it was really fun to do. I think it's worked quite well. These pictures are kind of the old botanical sort of illustrations. They are grayscale. Some of them, like that one, are pretty fiddly to do. But I figured a couple hours, just something relaxing to do there with the flowers. And plus it will get me more into colouring flowers, which is not something that I usually tend to do very much. So having some quick and easy kind of flower type illustrations to practice on, I thought might be good. And I'm quite pleased with how that one's turned out. I have tried to make the background look as if there's a little bit of a sort of a cool grey, maybe a blue-grey watercolour going on in the background there. And I've gone in with my white gel pen, again, a little thin white gel pen to put a few highlights in there. And all in all, I think I've tried to keep to the kind of botanical illustration sort of vibe that we had going on with that one, and I think that's worked really quite well. So yeah, just a quick and easy one, that one. So that one is from the Kew Gardens Enchanting colouring book. I don't think there is an artist mention for that one. They are colouring pages taken from Victorian kind of botanical illustrations, and this is the pocket-sized version, so that might be handy for any kind of day trips or anything we go on. Next, we're moving on to another Jasmine Becket-Griffith book. This is the the first kind of fantasy art adventure colouring book that she did, and this one was also a bit of a work in progress when I first started on it this month, so I'll pop a picture up here. This one will be a screenshot from my works in progress video because I forgot to actually scan it, and I actually coloured it while I was away on holiday as well. I did a bit of marker basing before I went on holiday, finished it off while I was away, so there wasn't any chance to scan, but this is what it looked like when I started, mainly just a coffee kind of wash for a background there. I just painted the whole page with coffee, and originally my plan was to colour the Egyptian lady there with a white robe, kind of like ancient Egyptian paintings and stuff like that. But after doing my coffee splash video that I did on the channel, I realised that my white doesn't show up super well when I paint it on top of coffee. So to get around that, I was wandering around the internet one day. I saw a picture of Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra, and she was wearing a gold robe, and I thought that looked really nice. So for my lady here, I have actually given her a gold robe, and I will show you how we actually went ahead and finished her. There we go, that is my Sonura there. I gave a bit of a marker background on top of the coffee there. Everything else is pencil, I think, apart from the gold paint pen that I've used to pick out a few details. She was, this is Castellart's gold pencils. I know that's my combination for gold, and I'm really happy with how that gold robe has worked out. I think it's worked a lot better than it would if I struggled away to try and make it white. So yeah, that's worked really well. Oh, a couple more metallics. There is some metallic Sharpie there, and I think I might have used acrylic marker as a base for this chair just to get that brown to be really rich and deep and stand out. I think that's worked really well. I've said that so many times, but yeah, it's worked really well. I tried to go for the Egyptian makeup kind of effect here we've got going on, with some teal and the black sort of Egyptian eyeliner there. I gave it a gold lipstick. Yeah, looks really cool, I think. And for the background, I shaded a very little bit, and I went over the line art. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get that to shine on the camera, but I went over the line art with a brown glitter gel pen. I wanted to make the background look as if it was carved, maybe on a pyramid, the wall of a pyramid or something, and she was sitting there in front of it, being in colour, and the background being this kind of sandy tones. Again, I've gone around the edges with a metallic Sharpie just to neaten off once I've got back home. And yeah, I really like the kind of colour palette going with that one, more along the ancient Egyptian kind of side of things. And yeah, as I said, I do love this gold robe. I did try and bring in a little bit of white for the cat, for this Egyptian Mao kind of cat she's got going on here, and as you can see, the white doesn't stand out super well, but there's a hint of the white there, and I wanted the focus to be her eyes with that makeup, so that all works really well. And that is how I finished off that lady from the Fantasy Art Adventure colouring book. And again, I went with the white outline around the outside there to make her again stand out from that background that I wanted to make look as if it was carved from the stone. And hopefully I can bring up this close and still be in focus. There we go. Hopefully that's still in focus. But there we go, that is Sonura from the Fantasy Art Adventure colouring book by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. And the last one, technically I suppose it's still a work in progress, though I'm not sure I'll go ahead and try and finish this one. But this is Colouring Heaven Winglings Special. And I started work on the front cover, and I wanted to try with this one to try and replicate that effect of colouring on top of the coffee from the last picture. I wanted to try and replicate that, but with coloured pencils. So I've given everything a kind of an ochre-y sort of overtone there by going over the top with the kind of yellow ochre colours and making everything look really watery, as if I've gone watercolour on top of the coffee. This is with these Staedtler Norris pencils, which are not the best pencils. They're definitely not that pigmented. I think I've got them working okay so far. I've brought in the white gel pen for highlights. I've given an outline around the wording there along the top. I've drawn in the coffee stain there. Again, bringing up a little bit closer. I'm hoping that's still in focus. I've drawn in a coffee stain there in the top corner. Hoping those colours are showing up, but again, I'll edit them if they're not. I've tried to add in a few little dots here for the kind of effect you get when you sprinkle the grains into the damp coffee. I've tried that. I've tried to give the darker edges, showing how the coffee's dried darker around the edges. A few little kind of stain coffee stain lines into her hair there, and I was really pleased with how that was turning out, but she was just an experiment. I'm not entirely sure I will go ahead and finish that one, but I will leave it there as a kind of work in progress. And also she leads in quite nicely to my theme from next month. The theme for September is going to be Whiptember. Not September, Whiptember. I'm going to have another month focusing on colouring my works in progress. Again, working on that little New Year's resolution I had of maybe finishing at least half of my works in progress. I'm not going super well so far. I think I had about 60 works in progress at the start of the year, and I've actually finished 11, and I've probably added a lot more into that pile during my time. But during September, I'm going to go ahead and try and finish some more of those works in progress, maybe get some interesting things going on. I have got a huge list of the works in progress I can actually do. A few of them I think might be exercises in fixing something I've tried and hasn't quite worked, and how to go ahead and actually finish the page and fix it to something I would like to colour in. So it's going to be an interesting month, I'll give it that. But those are all the pages that I coloured during August of 2024. Hopefully you've enjoyed coming along with me and looking back through all the pages I did finish. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye!